Greetings. Welcome to Quick Tips Interviewing. In this session, I'm going to talk about how to get prepared for interviews, and then we'll also take a look at some commonly asked interview questions. I first want to start off with what the purpose of an interview is. So, an interview is really an employer's opportunity to gather some information on if you can do the job, if you will do the job, and then also, are you a good fit for the company and the department that you're applying to? Now, if you've had interviews before, you know that a lot of employers will do first, second, and sometimes even third round interviews. Now, that first round interview is usually like a phone screen or a video conference, and it really is in that first round where they figure out if you can do the job and if you will do the job. So it is your job to then, in that second round or third round interview, convince them that you are, in fact, the right fit for that position. So you really want to figure out what the story is that you want to tell, how you're going to talk about your experiences, because as I'm sure you realize, the interview is the point at which hiring decisions are made. So by this point, they've seen your cover letter, they've seen your resume, and now they're trying to talk to you to figure out if you are going to be a good fit with the folks that are already there. So here's your opportunity to figure out what your story is and convey that to them. Now, on our website, we do have a handout that goes over interview prep, and that includes commonly asked questions, which we're going to take a look at in a minute here. But that handout is divided into what to do before, during, and after the interview. So that is what I have here on this slide. So we're going to take a look at some quick tips that fall into each of these categories. So before is really your opportunity to do some research and reflection as you're getting prepared. So you want to take the time to review the application, review the job description, be looking up some information on the organization as well. So you can go to their website, you can go to LinkedIn or Glassdoor, just do a Google search, certainly see what they have going on in the news, but you just want to get a better feel for who the organization is and how you're going to be able to align your experiences with what it is that they are looking for. So you want to develop some specific examples. Go ahead and review your resume to figure out how you want to talk about those experiences, because you do want to be able to tell stories and give some information that's not already listed there. Before the interview is also your time to develop questions. So remember that an interview is a two-way street. You are also interviewing them because you want to make sure that this is a good fit for you as well. And then you also want to figure out, what are you going to wear? I mean, I am a big believer in, if you look good, then you feel good, then you're going to perform well. So find your power suit, find whatever it is that makes you feel confident, and that's what you want to wear when you're going into your interview. So during, just remember your first impression. So there are a lot of folks that think your interview starts before you even step foot in that company. So from the moment that you say yes on the phone or that you respond with that first email, that's when your interview starts. So you want to make sure that you are courteous and kind to whoever it is that you're interacting with, because you just don't know who all is playing a hand in making that hiring decision. And I'm sure that you would be kind and courteous anyway, but here's a time where you really want to make sure you're putting your best foot forward. Make sure you maintain eye contact throughout that interview, not in a crazy way, of course. So you don't need to stare intensely, but you just want to make sure you're maintaining eye contact throughout to reinforce your interest in that role. And also make sure you're communicating effectively. Remember that that means your body language as well. So we want to make sure you're sitting up straight, you have your feet flat on the ground. Would also um, encourage you not to talk with your hands, and it's hard for me to talk because I am definitely someone that talks with their hands, but that's something that you want to try to control as you're in that interview space. Also want to make sure there's a balance between listening and speaking in that conversation. Be aware of how much space you're taking up, and allow your interviewer the time to interject every now and then as well. Most important thing you want to remember, answer the questions that are being asked of you. Now, if you are in the middle of a question and you kind of forget what the question was that was asked, go ahead and just pause and ask them to repeat the question and then kind of pick up back where you were. And then after the interview, so take some time and reflect on how the interview went. Is there anything that you would change? Maybe some questions you would answer differently. But if you are interviewing for, different positions in the same industry, it's likely that you will be asked very similar questions again. So you want to take some time and jot down the questions that you were asked so that you can really work on perfecting those answers for the future. And then follow up. So send a thank you note to the people that you interviewed with. Handwritten is always preferred, but we understand that sometimes there may not be time. A lot of employers have a quick turnaround time for letting candidates know. So an email is fine, but that is your time to reiterate your interest in the position. And also, if there's anything that you feel like is outstanding that you want to still mention about yourself, you didn't really get a chance to talk about one of your experiences, you can also talk about that in your thank you note. So moving into some commonly asked questions here. So what you have on the screen, these are really going to be your fit questions and questions that will solidify your interest in the company. So what do you know about our company? Why are you interested in working for us? What do you see yourself doing in 3 to 5 years? So they're going to ask you these questions to try to figure out if this is the best fit for you at this point in your career. So these are the questions that should be informed by the research that you've done and really be thinking about why you want to work there. You should be able to answer that for any job that you're interviewing for any company that you're interested in. Just ask yourself why, and hopefully that will serve as some motivation as you're getting prepared. I do want to touch on that first question up there. Tell me about yourself. So, a lot of times that is the first question that you're asked in any interview that you'll have. I always suggest the past, present, future approach for answering this question. So, just giving some background information on you. Where are you from? How'd you end up at Otterbein? Why did you decide to major in whatever it is that you're studying? And then you want to go into present. What are some things that you're doing at Otterbein that have helped prepare you for the role? What are some different ways in which you're involved on campus? What are some leadership roles that you've had? And then future, talk about eventually where you want to end up, where you want to go, what you want to be doing, and how is this role going to help you get there? What are some things that you feel like you can contribute that are going to have a lasting effect on this organization? So that's your past, present, future approach. There are different ways to answer that question, but I think that is a great formula, kind of a good go-to if you're trying to figure out exactly how to tell your story. The other type of question that you'll have are behavioral based questions. So, the premise of these questions is that past performance is the best predictor of future behavior. So, anytime you hear, tell me about a time when, describe a situation in which, or how have you fill in the blank, that is your indication that it is a behavioral based question. So there is a formula for answering these types of questions. And what you're going to do is just provide information and give specific examples that touch on those questions. So if you're asked, tell me about a time when you worked in a group and had to communicate effectively. Tell me about a time when you had to solve a problem creatively. That those are behavioral based questions. So what you're going to do is answer with this SOAR model. So situation, obstacle, action, and result. You're just giving some background information on what happened. You want to make sure you include enough information here so that your interviewers fully understand, fully grasp the experience, the situation that you were in. Obstacle, give some information on the challenge that you faced. Action, what did you do to address or overcome that challenge? And then result, what happened at the end? So I oftentimes tell students that, if you are sitting down with your friend and you're telling them a story about something that happened, there typically is a beginning, middle, and end. So this is really the same thing. You just want to make sure you are including all of those different pieces so that your interviewer really understands what happened, what challenge did you face, and then make sure you focus enough attention on what you actually did, you yourself, and not necessarily the team that you're working with, but what did you do to address that challenge, and then include what happened at the end there. So that concludes the quick tips interviewing session. We do offer practice interviews in our office, so we do have our contact information on the screen there for you. If you are interested in doing a practice interview, go ahead and reach out to us so we can get that scheduled. You can also let us know the position and the company that you're interviewing with, and we'll do our best to tailor a couple of those questions for your interview. If you have interviews coming up, we do wish you the best of luck, and please let us know how we can be helpful.